Alright, what's up guys? Hey, so this is gonna be lecture 17, and what I'm gonna be going over is callouts and doing labels on them and a couple other things. So, let's jump right into it. So, last lecture we went over, or a couple lectures ago, we went over placing section cuts, and I mentioned at the time where you would find the option for the callouts, which is right here next to the section cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this section cut, and I'm going to cut through this window right here. Just for reference, I'm using the milestone 6 floor plan that I let you guys work on for the last milestone. Anyway, so here's this section cut right here. I'm going to right click on it and go to view, and you can see that I did not do my math right on my ceiling over here. That's not terribly important. What we're looking for right here is that I want to use this area right here to create. Did I do the wrong wall? No, I did the right wall. I want to use this area right here to create a wall call out. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slide that over a little bit just to give myself some more clearance. And I'm going to click on that call out button that's right here next to the section. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click once, and then I'm going to click again to place it, and then I'm going to right click on it and go to view. So this is a oh, come on, brain, there we go. This is a wall section, and this isn't 100% correct. This is not my specialty. Like, I don't have the footing here, and there's going to be some weird joining, I'm sure, here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn the detail level for this window with the call out up to fine, and you can see that some of the details here actually come in. And then I'm going to turn this all the way up to, let's go to 1 inch. And so now you can see some of the detailing there. These random, semi-random little marker indentation things are going to indicate that this is a piece of gypsum. And if this was 100% correct, what I'd do is I would actually have the gypsum stop right here. So yeah, among the things that would need to be fixed on this wall, that would be one of them. So we have this section of the wall right here, and you know what? Actually, we want that wall. We want the other wall. Let's switch back. So we're going to do this one instead, because I want to work around that window. So same process, call out option, place this, and then in the case, or in the event that goes somewhere you don't want, you can grab this little handle right here and just kind of drag that out of the way so that it isn't inside of your drawing. And then, okay, so I don't want this dashed line right here, so I'm going to turn off this. It's called the annotation crop, and it's just going to make this kind of way too big for when you drop it in your paper space. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my level markers, and because they're locked right now, there's this little lock right here. I can uncheck this, and I would be able to move the two lines individually. In this case, I'm going to leave those locked, and I'm going to click on this and drag it out to right there. That's fine for what I'm trying to go for here. All right, so I've got this, and again, I need to go back down to the settings right here, increase that to 1 inch, and change that. So again, you can see I don't have these kind of correctly configured for what I'm doing, but it's not terribly important for this. So right here you see this is what, like, if you were to again cut that wall in the middle as a section cut, this is what you would see. So you would see that you've got your stud right here, you've got your gypsum on the interior backing board, the siding that we did, this blue siding, there we go, that blue siding right there, and then you'd have, it's probably not the right window, probably this one or something. And then you'd have this right here, which would be kind of the framing at the top of this window. This would be some additional framing that goes through. This is your interior. Here's your actual glass pane, and then this right here would be this cut. I think that's the right window anyway, where this area actually gets cut through in that window. So there's a whole bunch of things going on here, and even with other documentation, you would actually have a further call out showing how the actual like metal is set up inside of here. That's typically provided by the window manufacturer, and you generally don't have to do that. but again, it's always nice to know how. So back to where we're at. This is our wall section right here, and so we've got a couple things we want to do first. So if you click on this line, first thing is there's these little like double tick things right here, and or at least they look like double ticks. I think there's actually a line going back through. What these indicate is that whenever you see a line, I'm sorry, the camera's right here. You see a line and it goes and then it matches up back with that line. Um, you can it's been an indication that there's a long section here, but for the sake of brevity, we've kind of cut this chunk out. And so if you click on that, you can see what happened here when I did that was I click on this and it's going to get rid of that section. Okay, so I'm going to drag this up because we don't need to if this was say a 5-story building or something, we don't need to illustrate how every single floor connects to every single bit of wall. There's what's called a typical wall drawing, and usually it's abbreviated as TYP for typical. And it's saying, okay, here's our wall. This is what pretty much all our walls are going to look like. We'll note any exceptions. And then here's how the floors at the ground join. Here's how the above ground floors join. And then usually everything else is just sort of, if there's not something specifically called out for it, it's indicating that that's what's going on right there. So when you do this, and I don't have a symbol for it, I'll see if I can pull it up later. Actually, I forgot to check for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this back up now that I've done this first break. I'm going to put that right about there. I'm going to generate another one so that I'm kind of in that middle section. So this top would show how, if I had done the ceiling and the roof correctly, it would show how the ceiling actually connects to the roof, or sorry, the wall connects to the roof, and then how the ceiling connects to the wall. And then further down, because this would be basically a consistent piece of wall, we're not going to over document that. Then right here we have how this window would be framed up, and then at the top, and then we have this section right here, which would indicate how the window is framed at the bottom, and then how it's framed into the footing, and then usually you might even have another section where there's another one just detailing all the stuff because the footing's kind of crazy complex. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this up into 3 sections right here. And then once you've got it there, you'll see that there's these 2 little arrows right here, so I can actually drag these around. And I'm going to kind of just, again, shift them closer so that we kind of take up less space. And then this can actually come a little bit, where is it? Right there. I just want to get that a little bit closer over. Let's go right there. Okay. So, right. Right. So we have this, and so once we have this together, what we want to do is start creating the annotations for what's going on in this area here. And so we're going to go back over to annotate, and actually let's do insulation first. So this is our exterior wall, and it's going to be using, we'll have insulation there that actually creates the seal that helps keep this building warm or cool depending on the season. So if you click on that button, you've got a couple options here, and there's the width. That's going to default, in our case, to a 2x4 stud thickness. And you can change this here. We're going to leave that as is. And then there's the offset here. Just like other things with offset in Revit, you can set that. We're going to leave that at 0. And then there's this option right here which says either you're going to place the insulation in the center or it's on one of the sides. I'm probably going to get it wrong, so let's just see what happens. Yeah, every time. All right, so just hit escape, and then I'm going to draw it from the other side here. Now, when you do this, once you start drawing on this, don't move it. If I go back to this section right here, and if I adjust this right here, no, it didn't do it. Let's see. If I move that a little bit, no, really? I guess we're good. I don't know. I know I've screwed that up somehow before. I don't know. We'll figure it out maybe. I'll run into it. We'll see. All right. So place the insulation there. So just to indicate this is what this is. This little curvy thing indicates that there's insulation there. There's a couple other generic symbols we'll be using later. but I'm going to continue going through here, and it was this. Oh yeah, every time you reuse the installation tool, it's going to make you reselect that option for which side you want to place it on. So I'm going to do that, and then technically it should go like here, and then there'd be another one going across like that, but it would be thicker. But again, this kind of isn't really. Let's just bump this up. We'll call it. We'll call this 6 inches. Oops, wrong side. So we'll call that right there. Let me just move it out of the way. So you typically have insulation that would fill in that space as well. Again, you're trying to seal the body of the house. You don't necessarily want to insulate the attic, you want to insulate the core of the structure, and that serves as another further air gap. Anyway, so we've got our insulation in here. The next thing that we want to do is you click on this option right here for component, and it's got a couple options here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to detail component. And there's not a lot of options right here. You actually have to load a lot of these in. So I'm going to go to load family, and then I already pulled it up because I always forget where it's at. So it's under wood and plastic, and then wood framing, and then we have an option for nominal cut lumber section right here. All right. Those of you who took my AutoCAD class may remember me kind of being super OCD about this, and this is why. So we're going to go to nominal lumber cut section. Yeah, nominal cut lumber section. And then we're going to select, I'm going to just kind of get the 2x, because that's most of what you'd be using. It's probably going to give you this saying, hey, you loaded too many. That's fine. Don't worry about it. It's usually fine. And then we're going to change this to 2x4, because remember we're using 2x4s in this area here. And if you remember back to that video I sent you guys talking about kind of framing stuff at the start of the semester, that's what I was kind of trying to get you guys to kind of get your minds around early on, is that kind of, and the guy himself in the video says it, usually this kind of information is up to an architect or an engineer, usually the engineer. This isn't something that you as interior designers or interior architects will necessarily be dealing with, but it's important, I think, that you know how to work with it and know how to place these things, because you will very likely end up having to do it at some point. So anyway, back to this. So we're placing this 2x4 here, and it comes is this little block with that little cross in it, and I'm going to click here once to place it, and then I'm going to click there again. It gets weird if you try and place them on top of each other, so I'll show you what I mean down here. So again, at the bottom of the window, we'll say we'll do 2 studs again here as well. So if I click here once, and then I click here, see how it highlights it? So usually I just place it a little bit below, and then I'll come back and fix it. And then again, we have the stud that typically, again, the bottom of the wall, we would have the footing, and in our case, probably a concrete pad, though I've got a wood stud here. And then usually this stud would continue down, but in this case, we're just going to put that there. Hit escape, and then I'll come back up and zoom in here, and I'll just zoom out a little bit, arrow key up, and it should kind of snap to the right size right there. Same thing here, zoom a little bit out and arrow key down twice. So that's just how you would place those studs there. So again, while this is a cut through, you can imagine that this is indicating that, again, we have insulation here, but it's also implied that, and we'll note this in a minute, that there's the wood stud, and then in the air gaps there we have this bad insulation. And then at the bottom of this area we have this stud. When we come up for a window in this case, we'll have these 2 studs right here going across. We'll have 2 more at the top, empty area with more just bad insulation, and then at some point this would come through and it would probably not look exactly like that. So anyway, once we've got that, Next, we need to actually start indicating what these things are. And so there is the text tool right here. And then when you get into this, look at these options here. And what we're looking for specifically is I want to do a line right, and I want to have leader at bottom right or bottom left. So this is going to allow me to come in here, and what I'm going to do is with this tool is I'm going to first go to, let's see, this was our siding. So I'm going to click here once, and then usually you bring it up a little bit and then come out and kind of give yourself enough space, and then also make sure that this snaps. You can see, I think you can kind of see it turns a little bit blue there. I don't know, it might be hard to see. So I'm going to place that there. We're going to go with the default text right now. I don't want to get into that in this video and turn it into a 45-minute one. And so anyway, what this is we're going to be calling this, what did we say it was? Blue siding. For the sake of brevity, I'm just going to call it blue siding. So blue siding. Um, every shop you are going to work at, and usually even every drafter has kind of their own style. So you might have a shop style that you will be working with when you start working somewhere, um, and you might develop your own style. So the guys in the field are usually pretty good at understanding things, and there are a lot of standards, but um, yeah, just kind of, this is kind of a process, and just be prepared kind of to adapt to whatever it is you encounter kind of once you get out there. So there's a word that's I'm missing in my brain that indicates what kind of siding this is, and I'm not going to worry about it. So I'm just going to hit escape. Yes, I want to keep the text note, and then it should align itself to the right. Yeah, I think we're good there. Okay, so once you've got one of the things that I kind of got in that previous rant about was that you always want to make sure these are kind of nicely lined up. And it's one of those things where kind of the nicer things are organized, the easier it is for people to read when they're reading your drawings here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down control, so you can see that right now I've got that little plus arrow there. I'm going to click and I'm going to drag, and you see it generates a new one, kind of like in SketchUp when we do control stuff. I'm going to move it down, and I'm just going to bump that. I like keeping these pretty close together, so I'm just going to bump those two right up against each other. And then this we're going to call, and so we'll move this point right here, just so that it's jumping over to that next section there, right there. And what did I make this? Oops. This was the exterior wall. Yeah, I just called it blue siding. Technically we would have membrane layer. So this is going to be 3/4 inch plywood sheathing. Inch. We'll just say 3/4 inch OSB. Yeah. There we go. Escape. Yes. And then we'll just continue down through here. So, and then this is another thing. I think I explained it in the AutoCAD class. But when you're indicating, sorry, this will be the actual stud layer here. So this is going to be one 1x4 nominal stud at 16-inch OC. So this is a 1x4 nominal stud at 16 inches on center, and then sometimes you'll get with batt insulations. Ooh, can't spell insulation. And then we'll close that. So that'll indicate that, and let me actually grab this and point that right there. So because we have the stud and that insulation overlapping, we're actually going to indicate that those are different things going on right there. And then one thing I'm seeing is I don't quite like how those lines are almost on top of each other. So I'm intentionally going to just kind of pull that up so that those lines don't interfere with each other, just for clarity for now. And we'll adjust that insulation right there. And then I probably should have done this where I had more space. We'll just move it all. Oops, no. Let's do. What am I doing? Let's move this up. Let's move this. No. Move this down. Move this down. No, give me more space. Okay. I think I ran out of space there is what happened. Let's see. I just want to make... I guess that served its purpose. We'll just do this. We'll just take this whole area right here, and we'll work with it. So, we got the bad insulation, and then, again, and that might be a little tight. I might come back and just kind of bump all these down. One arrow key, maybe two more. Keep bumping these down. I think I went too tight there. Probably because I'm on quarter inch. Anyway, so we'll take this next one here and we'll click on it and we will bring this out over to here. And again, I'm trying to kind of keep these all pointing at the same section wall and in their own area. One other thing is some people like to actually have this go to the border of the thing, so it would go to there, it would go to there, this would go to here, and so that way you would go, okay, this reads left to right. I've seen both ways. I prefer it in the middle, but that's just me. Especially when you get to the one with the insulation layer. So let's just leave it like that. Just recognize that you might see that both ways kind of out there. So we've got that right there. And this is going to be our, what did we say this was? This was our half-inch gypsum. What? No. No, cancel. No, I don't want to do that. All right. So this is half-inch. And again, you will see a lot of abbreviations. So gyp for gypsum, wallboard, board. I've seen wall, WBD, wall BD, happens. So gyp. So let's just spell it out though. Gypsum wallboard, and we'll close that one out. Okay, so that's our gypsum wallboard right there. Now these right now are at the bottom, and I want this up at the top. I changed my mind on these. So I can change the option for where this is pointing up here under the options. So I'm going to actually start those at the top instead. I think that makes that clearer. And then you would work your way through. So you would get to these and indicate that this is a... come on. There we go. So then that's kind of one set. So whenever I kind of go to a different set of documents or something that I'm showing elsewhere, I'm actually going to break that apart here. And so this I'm going to do 2x4 header. And I think I was supposed to say that it's for the window framing, but I'm not sure. So I'm just going to put 2x4 header. And I might even have to actually do 2x4 header to indicate that there's two of those right there. Again, it kind of depends on the shop you're working at, and Ruben is going to know a lot more about this section than I am because he's the architect. So that's how you would go through. One of the things you want to try and do, and the reason why I go through that process of putting the note in and then copying and pasting, is that you get this nice clean line all the way through here. So you have this bend, this elbow right here, it's all at the same spot, and then you have the line of text there, and it makes it really easy to read. I think I went with the other wall because I also kind of prefer having this on the right side, so that then you're not starting out here reading each row, but I went with this one. So that's what I wanted to show you for this, was to actually place. Let's see. Let's go back. So, um, what do we do? We did the section. So we started. Just kind of a recap. We placed our section cut right here, and then from this we placed the wall call out right here, and then inside of this wall call out, we started doing these notations indicating what's going on with that wall call out. All right. There is another way to do this that confuses the hell out of me. So props to anyone who can figure it out. It's supposed to make it like a million times easier if you know what you're doing, but I have never been able to figure this out. And it's using these keynotes right here, apparently. And you can do a material keynote, and you would be able to, theoretically, what you're supposed to do is same idea. You would click on this item right here, you would place your elbow, and then snap this out here, and then it's supposed to figure out kind of like what's going on with this. But so like, let's see, finishes. We're just gonna pretend that this is gypsum wallboard. So yeah, gypsum board. And the thing I don't like about it is that it gives you this code right here. And actually, let's do so half inch. Okay. So it gives you this code here, and then eventually at some point you would build, and we'll get into these in another lecture. But I would assume a schedule where you would indicate what that code is code for. I don't like trying to read these on a plan because it's like, okay, well now I've got to keep going back and referencing this and remembering what 092900.c1 is, when it just could say gypsum wallboard. So, um, anyway, that's what I want to show you guys for this demo. I'm going to have a couple more of these where we kind of go over a smaller topic. So next, I think we're going to be doing rendering, where I'll show you guys how to kind of set up stuff. But I'm kind of, at this point, we're done with the core stuff for my class, but I'm trying to get you guys more prepared for the next class where you'll actually be doing a lot of this documentation work. All right? So that's all for this lecture. I'll see you guys in the next one.